Apologies if it seems like I've been rather low or energy last video and this one, and probably a few others around this time period. It's been kinda struggling to keep up the energy for this. Not the game itself, but the process of recording and reading and stuff. I don't know, it's been kinda... There's a lot going on work-wise. It's just been, like, sapping my energy, so to speak. Hopefully I've kept it up. Also, apologies if last video that the music seemed aggressively louder. I'm not really sure what happened, but, like, something settings-wise changed. Like, literally started this up first time in a while and it popped up in full screen for some reason. Like, what? Okay, something's going on here. It seems like the music was, aggressively turned up. It seemed passable, but it's the sort of thing I listen to again afterwards. It's like, that's really loud. I turned it down a little bit, and at least looking through things somewhat. It's still kind of loud, but more balanced like it was, I think. Anyway, trial part 2. Witnesses. I trust you've heard the summation examination we have just had to endure.
Oh, yes, sir. That I did, sir.
Of course I heard it.
Oh, yes, sir. I heard it.
First power bottom. You, sir, on the end. The coachman. I believe it's Beppo.
Yes, sir. My lord, sir.
If it transpires that in your previous testimony, you were attempting to veil the presence of a fifth passenger on your omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir.
Oh, me too. Oh.
Poor Beppo. Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination. Fair play to you. Various misgivings. Everyone looks panicked.
I only carried 4 passengers that night. I swear it. But,
Your nose is a sausage, Beppo. Well, I, for one, was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus.
He filled us on the fare, he did. And then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much.
I tell you, I saw McGilded stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands.
Oh, yes. Yes, he stabbed them. Yes, he did. I think so, yes.
Counsel, make sense of this for me, please. The phantom fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little corsonage. I have no clue if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Oh.
Beppo, explain yourself.
I'm terribly sorry, Guild Master.
Your nose is a sausage, Beppo. Guild fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. Am I to understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare?
It's so cold, and the last run of the day is always half empty.
You have been dishonest, coachman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're a disgrace, Beppo. A disgrace. And your selfish actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild.
If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week.
What?
4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently. No, that figures. That's how math works. No getting around it.
It would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please. We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games. Absolutely. Love that confidence. Yo, man, give us something.
Hold it!
So, there were only 4 passengers on your carriage, but you didn't charge them the standard 4 pence fare. Is that right? Yeah.
It's impossible to make the last run of the day pay. I was so cold. It was all I could do to stop myself from passing out.
I'm getting chilblains just listening to you.
It was terrible, so I wanted to give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running. Doesn't a dedicated coachman deserve an extra penny per passenger?
You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here. Maybe there had been a 5th passenger on the omnibus that night. And he would have had another suspect. Well, I, for one, was told I have to pay 5 pence for the bus.
Hold it!
Does that mean everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4? Well, I paid 5 pence too, sir. And I just told you that I did.
A flat fare of 5 pence across the board.
Not something to be proud of. The so-called discrepancy my learned friend identified was nothing of the sort. Notice the shadows of the gallery in the background? That's a cool touch. Much like the phantom killer you so desperately needed, it's gone. Dead and buried.
I'd have been happy if it had ever existed in the first place. Hold it!
Not really sure where we're going here. It's something to do with the blood-curdling sight. You mean the murder, I presume?
Yes, sir.
A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man at the moment his life is taken.
Well, not exactly, sir. I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed.
Ah, good gracious! Really? We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it.
Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. It may turn out to be very significant. I heard the banker gent next to me take a sharp intake of breath, see? That's when I looked through the glass. That's when I saw that horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating. Hold it!
So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him. That's what I said, isn't it? It was bothering me before, this was. Just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway, there was only the 2 of them inside the carriage, wasn't there? There's been much talk of a 5th passenger, but as yet, 0 evidence exists. What are we wasting all this time for, eh? It's black and white. The man's guilty.
Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. Wish I could work out what it was.
And poor Beppo. Let's see what you have to say.
Earlier you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? Oh, yes, that's right. You said that the victim was on the floor, and described the assailant holding the knife in an ice pick grip.
Beppo?
I suppose I might have, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe? What's this? Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seat on the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir. Then when I turned around, yes, I saw it through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor, and the knife was sticking up out of his midriff. That's right, yes. The fellow holding the handle was the famous man. Yes.
So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all?
I really thought that I did, but when I go over it again in my head... no, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, didn't I?
Hello.
Excuse me.
I like that. I kept it.
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. You didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. Might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? No chance. Well, it's a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on the top of an omnibus, that is. No. Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as a Ballarat day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I can do that all right. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Bam. The blood-soaked hands after the butcher stabbed that man. Interesting. Blood-soaked? Well, perhaps soaked his leg a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. And you saw that from the roof, through the skylight. Well, the skylight's reasonably large, so I had a pretty good view. There was a lamp on inside the carriage as well, so I'm quite sure of what I saw. This banker's latest statement. I feel sure there's something not quite right about it. When you feel something doesn't add up, Mr. Naruhodo, that's when you should have a good look through the court record. Thank you, Susanna-san. Not long ago, this trial very nearly came to an end. Somehow we've managed to keep our chances alive here. Can't waste this cross-examination. I have to use it to bring some new facts to light. If you're not careful when you press these witnesses, the danger is that the jury will end up believing something unhelpful, as they did before. Maybe. But we can't let the fear of that happening stop us from uncovering important new information. Oh. Yes, you're so right. Need to pay careful attention here. I don't want to miss even a flicker of a reaction amongst these witnesses. Remember, if you happen to spot one of the witnesses reacting in a strange way, don't hesitate to pursue them as to the reason. All over it. Can't seem to go backward. Oh. Yeah, we can't seem to go backwards anymore. That's weird. I can't rewind testimonies anymore. Something definitely changed here. Anyway, have some gloves. Blood-soaked. Hands? Well, I admit that soak might be laying on a little thick, but... Anyway, there's definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilden, on the night in question. Oh, yes. Right. There certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. That is not good for your teeth, son. In short, Mr. Fairplay, testimony is inconsistent. God!
No, that can't be right. So you're the liar here, then? That's right. You were quite clear about it. You said it was both hands.
Oh, that's really not good for your teeth, son.
Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed. But is that really the truth?
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it was in both hands. It was only one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands, which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My words should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. Is that really the case? Mr. Naruhodo, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely. I'm going to show that this man has a compelling reason to lie in his testimony. I have evidence. We found this last video. My lord. Yes, counsel? The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove, are you sure? Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony. Very well. I hereby call the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court. It is this. Among the list of debtors is Bruce Fairplay.
Take that!
This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded.
Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused's extortion.
The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name. Mr. Bruce Fairplay. What? Huh? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused?
No. Well, it's apparently worthy of being called the debt.
According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say?
Well, what of it?
Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case? These documents state the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist. Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, this is becoming an even bigger motive as time goes on. Is it not the case you claimed that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw? In a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant. So, yes. Order! Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord. Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you, or did you not, see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. All right. Now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on McGilded's hands. Both of them.
Objection!
And yet, Only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. So you keep saying. What's up, First? I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir? Go ahead, Mr. First. Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself, as it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think. Yes, I'm almost sure that it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What? Splat. Okay, what does this mean? It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yeah, Mr. Naruhodo. This is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. Let's see how well this goes. What the witnesses really saw. Oh, here we go. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them. I didn't actually see anything myself. No, not until I heard that scream. Was that first scream? Anyway, the fact remains. There can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we all would have been seen. We all would have seen. I feel like that statement might be the sticking point here. Well, lo and behold. In truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man did it. That's really not what testimony is all about. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. I haven't actually examined that yet. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witnesses' accounts. In other words, there is no substantial, nor significant, change in the facts of the case. Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel. Yes, my lord. Let's see where this goes, because I really don't know.
Hold it!
No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing up the night in question in the court record. I'm well aware of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw and I stand by it. The man had blood on both of his hands. He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw. But why? Your reasoning is dire. One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers. The judge is torn. We can see that.
Hold it!
Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime, it's a matter of fundamental importance, as well you know. But for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could possibly have done it. I was just trying to save us all some time. Poke, poke. You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? Had you hoped to release yourself of the financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty? Well, that's not entirely not what I was hoping for. Not entirely not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea. When I backed the wrong horse in the derby, that's all. I was going to win it all back. It's a fixture this weekend for this. That's a sure thing. There it is. A little guinea or 10. I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend. I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir. This witness's scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work? Fair enough.
Hold it!
You definitely saw that too? Blood on both hands? Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGilded's gloves had any signs of blood on it. That's right. The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, I looked down and saw Mr. McGilded sitting beside the other fellow. I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that the dark-colored stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilded's gloved hands. There wasn't blood on his hands? This is puzzling indeed. This must be significant somehow. I'm sure of it. Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of this. Feels like one of those things that up for debate, but the answer is going to be something big.
Hold it!
Like it's these aren't my hands. Liquid Ocelot voice. These aren't my hands, Snake. They're your brother's. Liquid. Didn't see anything? Oh, yes, sir, that is to say. No, sir, I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry. Yes, it was very wrong of me to make up stories and say I saw him stab the man. Wouldn't you agree, sir? I knew what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories. Still, to say you saw nothing isn't quite right either, is it? No, sir. I saw nothing at all. Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you, must have enjoyed a good view of London streets, no? Oh, please. You didn't even see that. It was so cold that night, you see. It was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid. Sorry to say, sir. Would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Beppo! Ah! Oh, your eyes. Rare shot we see your eyes.
Hold it!
And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus. That's right. It was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over. Oh yes, remember I was shivering, it was so bitter. Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. What the fuck? I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. Sorry for the random jump cut, but a fucking spotted lanternfly somehow got in my house and landed like a foot in front of me, right next to my lamp. I just like, okay, gotta pause, grab the nearest thing to me, kill it, throw it down the garbage disposal. Only good spotted lanternfly is a dead spotted lanternfly. Bastards. Anyways, where were we? Oh, why not? Couldn't get in the cabin. It was locked from the inside.
I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. It was locked? That's right. It's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play. Name drop.
Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below.
Well, I can assure you I was just looking down. I was glaring. Long and hard. That's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence. If there was anyone else at all in that cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say.
I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Would they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? Might not have been able to. We'll just say this. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. Riding this omnibus, I feel like we should examine this before I go any further. Yeah, we should take some time to examine this first. Let's open the door and go inside, shall we? Scene of a murder. It's horrible. Gamer key? No. Rotate. That's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. Ooh, the Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event. Remember this in a few months' time when we get to later on in the case. Oh, hey. Gamer keys. That's blood that's soaked into the seat. The victim's obviously. Yes, and that seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck. Would you really stab somebody in full view of the other passengers like that, I wonder? But it was after dark. There was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside the skylight. Whatever way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. Outside? Oh, another one. An actual picture of the Crystal Tower. Remember this for next time. What is this? The seat looks reasonably soft, but it's actually rather hard when you sit on it. Not just wide enough for two gentlemen to sit side by side, really. Of course, an English gentlewoman would be dressed in such finery. It would be quite impossible for her to climb up to the roof deck, so she would have to be seated in here. A woman in a kimono would have the same problem. Women's clothes are very impractical, aren't they? Fair point. Handle? Seat has a handle, it seems. Oh. What is this? This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running. Feeding tubs, tools to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems. Doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to stow their luggage, that's for sure. Well, don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway. Suppose we should remember this. Click. Rotate camera. Anything else to see here? Hello, skylight. It's quite a large skylight, isn't it? Yes, quite large enough to afford a good view into the cabin from the roof deck. Doesn't appear to be a handle or catch of any description. I suppose it can't be opened from inside the cabin, at least. Alright, I suppose we can... Okay, gotta figure out where to control this thing. Alright, let's get out of here. You seen enough? Let's step back outside, then. Whee! Gamer keys? Gamer keys. Oh, what? What's this? Noom. So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London streets from up here. people sit all the way up here on bitter winter nights with the cold air rushing past them? They have to pay money to do so? Can't imagine how cold it must feel. That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in the freezing cold as a punishment? Perhaps that is the real price you pay to stay out late. Ooh. Let me zoom in. Can we zoom in? Close enough. We'll look up here then. Gamer keys, anything to see here? No. Job masters. Look at the skylight from here. You certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. So I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see quite clearly. Not good for us. $4.18. Phoenix Wright omnibus. Hello. Why can't we examine that? Examine the omnibus. Deck of the omnibus. Oh, we definitely see. I feel like that might be what we may be getting at here. Okay, so nothing to find here. Let's just keep going. Witness the events in the cabin through the skylight in the floor of the upper deck. Is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there is a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What? My golly, really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. The possibility cannot be denied. At the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. Prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand. Ah, you'll identify the area on this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in this omnibus are you suggesting that this potential extra passenger could have been situated? Right here.
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabins face each other, which means visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as I've drawn here. Ah! That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it all.
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude. Uh-oh. Can you, Mr. Naruhodo? I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck? Do we know? I really don't think we do. Like, we really don't know anyone else except for the witnesses who are, alibis for themselves and, the driver who had to be driving. Oh, I'm literally no idea. As a proud citizen of the Japanese Empire, you will look to the sky and walk on, making sure all signs of tears are gone. Go on. This isn't just a case of going on, Miss Susanoo. All right then, I'll go on. The defense would like to put forward a name.
You are a fool.
That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat. Smack! This could be it. Be the chance I've been waiting for to turn this trial in my favor. On that night, the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was... Fuck, I don't know. Susanoo.
Oh, we could say McGill did, and then... So the person who was actually sitting next to him was the killer, and McGill was sitting out of sight.
Take that!
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense. The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded. Mr. McGilded? What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
There it is.
If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zeeks, that's your second chalice. People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own. But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly. Hey now, what are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to that fact. It's the very premise on which this case is built.
Objection!
But that premise may be wrong. What? The victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded. It creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way. What inconsistency, counsel? The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
If we know the truth to be otherwise, only one glove bears the goy remains.
Objection!
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Exactly. Both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. For somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. The victim's blood was on that passenger's hands. Both of them.
Objection!
And who was this third party? Obviously, the true culprit. Extraordinary! Order! 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 What exactly are you postulating?
Objection!
The defense's postulation is just that, nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
Objection!
When elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said, the two of them were wearing hats and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. You could see the rest of them, though. Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir. And what particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First? I'm afraid I don't remember. And you call yourself a hatter? Style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin. How can you be sure? Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. McGilded, would undoubtedly have offered to depose that fact. Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed to even notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled. That... He's right. There was another person traveling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. It's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it. Order! There is clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand. Well, what say you, counsel? The prosecution objects, my lord. On what grounds? As a suspect, he will have already made a full statement to the police. But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act. Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion? My lord, should we ask Mr. McGilded to testify, or not? Good question. Sure, why not? Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. Yeah. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand. In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury. Yes, I need a little time to consider this. If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say. Get the man out here, I say. It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony. When something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild. Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say. Oh, yes, that would be lovely. Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. Very well. The court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once. Well, here goes. Trial advancing. Now, maybe what actually happened that night finally become clear. Certainly something will become clear. Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day? To be sure I have, my lord. There are now two matters on which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin, as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police? Begad, no. It's not in my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the questions, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell you, Saul, or keep my mouth shut? Tell us what, Mr. McGilded? Fine fella representing me is absolutely right. On the carriage of the night, on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger. It's true? Aye, and 'twas me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened. You... What? no, Magus the Gilded. A convenient excuse can't save you now. I'm truly sorry, so I am your Lord Van Zeeks. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken in by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you. Which was? The little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not in any way involved, you see. What? If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into this here courtroom just like myself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord. This music is shady AF. And who was this young child of whom you speak? That? I don't know. You don't know? Well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. Never saw her before or since.
Objection!
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. Prosecution calls for the witness's statements to be disregarded by the court. You know I wouldn't be surprised. If the urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listen to the proceedings. What? Ah! Smoke! Ah! Fire! There's a fire! Look! Someone's trying to get away! After them! It's no use. Can't see anything with all this smoke. What is going on? Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure that the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. You were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. Oh. Now we hit a break. Okay. Now when we return, we'll pick up the trial and figure out what the hell just happened. Until next time, until then, thanks for watching.